The 1,653rd meeting of the Board of Trustees. Can I get a roll call, please?
Yes, Mr. Watson? Mr. Watson, are you on mute? Mr. Watson?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. We're doing roll call. Mr. Nikozison? Mr. Nikozison, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, Mr.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
All right, we have a quorum.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the prior meeting, November 10, 21?
So moved.
Second.
Very good. I have no comments. We'll go to the report of the board committees. Trustee Nikozison, can you read the Program Management Committee report, please? Trustee Nikozison, can you read the Program Management Committee report, please?
Trustee Nikozison, can you still hear us?
We can. I can.
Okay, Trustee Watson can. You want to have somebody else read it?
I'm glad to do it.
Sure. Trustee Fair, could you read the Program Management Committee report, please?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. The Program Management Committee met on November 30th, 2021 at 7:30 a.m. The meeting was attended by Trustees Evans, Wilson, Fair, Wabi, Watson, and Nikozison online. The minutes of the November 2nd meeting were approved. The agenda items to be introduced tonight were presented and discussed, including a detailed discussion regarding the following items. Ordinance number 15828, Jefferson Barracks Tunnel. Staff gave a brief update on the status of this planned supplemental appropriation to an existing project being constructed by SAK Construction LLC. Staff is requesting the final appropriation of $35 million to fully fund the project. Ordinances number 15831 through 15832. Staff provided details of the two CSO volume reduction green infrastructure grants being awarded to reduce combined sewer overflows to the Mississippi River and the river to pair for the consent decree. Staff provided details of the grants being awarded to the Rankin Technical College and Washington University for various volume reducing improvements on their properties. Ordinance numbers 15833 through 15835. CSO volume reduction green infrastructure supplemental appropriations. Staff gave a brief presentation on the Rainscaping Green Infrastructure Program for these three annual funding requests. Staff gave status of expenditures to date and progress on the consent decree compliance. Ordinance numbers 15836 through 15840. Stormwater OMCI reimbursements. Staff gave a brief history of the OMCI subdistricts and their purpose and the plan for funding needed stormwater projects in these areas. Staff is requesting appropriation for the continued funding of a municipal stormwater grant program within 5 OMCI taxing subdistricts. Staff additionally requested continued authorization to administer the grants below $50,000 without future approval of the board. Staff also indicated one additional OMCI, which is the Gravelly Creek OMCI, will be added in the fiscal year 2023 budget. The next committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for January 4th, 2022. The meeting was adjourned at 8:08 a.m.
Thank you, Trustee Fair. Can you also read the Finance Committee report, please?
Sure. The Finance Committee met on November 30th, 2021 with Trustees Fair, Wilson, Evans, Watson, Wabi, and Nikozison in attendance. The minutes from the November 2nd, 2021 meeting were approved. The first item on the agenda was a discussion by Aon Hewitt on the third quarter performance of the pension plan. Plan assets returned a negative 0.7% in the third quarter and 6% year-to-date, which performed slightly less than the policy benchmark of negative 0.1% and 6.8%. And representatives also discussed the asset allocation and third quarter performance of the defined contribution and deferred compensation plan. The next item on the agenda was a report by staff on the district's operating fund portfolio as of November 29, 2021. Staff stated that the portfolio complies with the district's investment policy. Next on the agenda was an ordinance authorizing staff to enter into a contract with UHY Advisors and conduct a management audit to assess and report on the effectiveness and completeness of its entity-level controls and to provide recommendations for improvement. This will be ordinance number 15844 on tonight's agenda. The last item on the agenda was an ordinance authorizing staff to enter into a contract with an option of a one-year renewal with Remy Street to provide services for software support, patching, and updates to the legacy Oracle EBS software. This contract is needed until MSD transitions to a cloud-based Oracle system. This will be ordinance number 15843 on tonight's agenda. The meeting adjourned at approximately 8:40 a.m. The next tentatively scheduled meeting is Tuesday, January 4th, 2022. This concludes the Finance Committee report.
Thank you. Trustee Wilson, can you read the Stakeholder Relations Committee meeting, please?
Yes, I can. Stakeholder Relations Committee meeting minutes, board comments report, November 30th, 2021. The Stakeholder Relations Committee met at district headquarters on Tuesday, November 30th, 2021 at approximately 8:40 a.m. Those present at the meeting included Chairperson Wilson, Trustee Evans, Fair, Wabi, Watson, and Trustee Nicholson via Teams, as well as district directors and staff. Chairperson Wilson called roll and had no further comments. By motion of all trustees, the minutes of November the 2nd Stakeholder Relations Committee meeting were approved. The first agenda item was a discussion by Susan Meyer regarding a resolution for state legislative lobbying services. The resolution authorized the district to enter into the second one-year contract renewal term with Kiner Inman LLC and is resolution number 3715 on tonight's agenda. The next agenda item was a discussion by Tracy Coleman regarding a resolution for corporate medical services. This resolution authorized the district to enter into the first one-year contract renewal term with BJC Corporate Health Services and is resolution number 3716 on tonight's agenda. The last agenda item was a discussion by Shauna Paradis regarding a resolution for a workforce grant development program, building union diversity. This resolution authorizes the district to enter the second one-year contract renewal term with Missouri AFL-CIO, Missouri Works Initiative, St. Louis Building Union Diversity, and is resolution 3717 on tonight's agenda. The meeting was adjourned at approximately 8:45 a.m. by Chairperson Wilson. The next meeting is tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, January the 4th, 2022. This concludes the Stakeholder Relations Committee meeting board comment report.
Thank you. Do we have a report of the Executive Director?
No report, sir.
I understand we do have a comment from the public.
Yes, we do have one comment from the public. This came in by email today. These are comments from Tom Sullivan for the Board of Trustees meeting December 9th, 2021, and it reads, I have some comments on agenda items for today's meeting. There are many no-bid engineering and consulting contracts with many millions of dollars on the agenda, and it isn't always clear what the purpose of the contracts is or how the funds are to be spent. Item number 21, $2.5 million to Ace Pipe Cleaning for sewer inspections. MSD officials said years ago the district was going to buy the equipment needed to do the inspection so it would not have to hire outside contractors. The Post-Dispatch even did a story about it. It seems odd that a sewer district is unable or unwilling to inspect its own sewers and has spent tens of millions of dollars with outside firms to do so. Item 22, $2.8 million to Shannon and Wilson for construction management services for the Lower Middle River to Pear Tunnel facilities. This is something the district should be able to handle, but it spends millions of dollars with outside firms for these services. This would be a no-bid contract. Item number 23, $2 million to Black & Veatch Corporation.
No, I can't hear nothing. I was gonna call you. I can hear you. At one point, I can hear you. So, I don't know if they got us on mute or what.
I'm going to pause.
Trustee Nicholson, can you hear me?
Okay. Okay. I would keep him muted for right now. And is somebody from in here in contact with him to try to understand the technical issues?
I think you can read through that and make sure we have meetings before we do.
Okay.
Just leave it here for now, I'll send a message.
All right. I'm going to continue, and then we'll make sure we have that fixed before we start doing votes. Item 23, $2 million to Black and Veatch, longtime MSD buddies, for construction management services for the Lower Merrimack and Deer Creek Tunnels project. This would be a no-bid contract. Item number 24, $7 million to KAI 360 Construction Services for construction management services. That's a lot of money when it isn't known how many people will be working to provide the services, what the hourly rates would be, or how the $7 million figure was arrived at. It's another no-bid contract. Merry Christmas, KAI, from your good buddies at MSD. Item 25, $475,000 to Donahue and Associates for general engineering services for unspecified projects. It isn't clear why this is being appropriated, how the amount was arrived at, or why the district is unable to do the work with its large engineering department. Item 26, the $85,000 to Wrights and Jens for general geotechnical services for unknown projects. It isn't clear how this amount was arrived at. This would be a no-bid contract. Item 27, $85,000 to geotechnology for general geotechnical services for unknown projects. It isn't clear how this amount was arrived at. This would be a no-bid contract. Item number 28, $85,000 to Geosyntec for general geotechnical services for unknown projects. It isn't clear how this amount was arrived at. This would be a no-bid contract. Item number 29, $50,000 to Civil Designing for general surveying services for unknown projects. It isn't clear how this amount was arrived at. This would be a no-bid contract. Item number 30, $50,000 to Abna Engineering for general surveying services for unknown projects. It isn't clear how this amount was arrived at. This would be a no-bid contract. Item 31, $50,000 to Sabre Inc. for general surveying services for unknown projects. It isn't clear how this amount was arrived at. This would be a no-bid contract. Item number 32, $50,000 to the Sterling Company for general surveying services for unknown projects. It isn't clear how this amount was arrived at. This would be a no-bid contract. Item number 33, $50,000 to Heidman and Associates for general surveying services for unknown projects. It isn't clear how this amount was arrived at. This would be a no-bid contract. Item number 34 authorizes the Executive Director and Secretary Treasurer to enter into a contract with independent public advisors. The amount of the contract is not listed on the agenda as the state sunshine law requires. Item 35 authorizes the District Director and Secretary Treasurer to enter into a contract with PFM Financial Advisors. The amount of the contract is not listed on the agenda as the state sunshine law requires. Item number 36 authorizes the Executive Director and Secretary Treasurer to enter into a contract with Clifton Larson Allen. The amount of the contract is not listed on the agenda as the state sunshine law requires. I would suggest to board members that you understand these appropriations before voting on them. Someday you might have to answer for your vote. Thank you for listening to my comments. And that is the only public comment we've received.
You can unmute him now. Tell us when you got him unmuted. Oh, okay, so you've got him unmuted though. Okay, so,
Okay, can we send him a message just to see if he can hear us?
Trustee Nicholson, can you hear us?
So, do we want to give him a phone number to call into?
I hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Well, we're not able to hear anything in the meeting since it started, so.
So they're not hearing us through the microphone.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me, trustees?
I hear you now, Brian, but this is the first time.
Pardon me?
Okay, so right now, I'm sorry to keep repeating this, but can you both hear me?
You guys are cutting in and out. Brian, did you hear the same thing?
I did. Tim is. I'm assuming it's Tim's voice that's going.
I'm assuming it's Tim, and what was it, one word, pause for a couple seconds, and then a couple words?
Yes.
Okay, I think we're gonna should we try to give them a phone number? Okay, Tamara is gonna send you a phone number that you can call. And then
What?
all right, so we're on hold for a minute.
Your wife? My mom just called. Heard him talking about coming home.
Welcome to the meeting. Please enter your conference code followed by the pound or hash sign. If you are the leader, press star now. Please enter your leader. Welcome to the meeting. Please enter your conference code followed by the pound or... Sorry, you may have entered an invalid conference code or the... To start or join your conference, press 1. You will now be placed in the conference. After joining the call, to record the conference for those who may miss this call, or for future playback, press star 2.
Okay, do we have Trustee Watson or Trustee Nicholasison on the phone?
You have trustee Nicholas on the phone. I am gonna hang up with the teams, okay?
Okay,
Do I ought to hang up with the teams, we can do this over the phone?
yes, we can do this on the phone.
The only thing I need is the information. Did we send out with the reading of the minutes?
Yes, we did the reading of the minutes. So,
Okay.
And we'd also previously sent you the public comment. We had done that as well.
What was that?
We all, oh,
We already sent the public comment and all your materials. Do you have those?
Okay. I didn't do any. I saw the public comments, yes.
Okay.
okay, so we've gone through that. There are no submission of public hearing reports or communications, so as soon as we are sure that we have you and Trustee Watson on, we will go into the consent agenda. That's okay? Karen?
That sounds good.
Okay.
it was Tim's.
Trustee Watson, are you there?
Trustee Watson, did you get the message to dial into the phone number?
Trustee Watson?
I am here now.
Okay.
All right, so
All right.
Trustee Watson and Trustee Nicholasison, can you both hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, so we are now at the consent agenda part of the meeting. All right, so the consent agenda this evening is items 10 through 36. Staff would like to pull item 12 to bring back at a future date. So tonight, the consent agenda then would be items 10 through 11 and 1336. Is there any board member who would like to pull an item for a separate vote? Hearing none, is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Okay, I heard a motion in a second. Give it a motion in second. Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
All right, great. And now we will go to new business, starting with ordinances and item 37. The introduction of proposed ordinance number 15826, making an appropriation of $3.1 million from the Sanitary Replacement Fund to be used for sanitary sewer rehabilitation in the Bissell, Coldwater, Missouri, Merrimack Public Ionized Reduction Contract A project in the cities of Baldwin, Ellisville, Manchester, Town and Country, and unincorporated St. Louis County, and authorizing the district enter into a contract with SAK Construction. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Item 38, the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15827, appropriating $5 million from the sanitary replacement fund to be used for pump station improvements in the Cawks Creek A Pump Station Improvements Project in the city of Chesterfield, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Plocker Construction Company. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Item 39, the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15826, making a supplemental appropriation of $35 million from the sanitary replacement fund to be used for sanitary storage tunnel in Jefferson Barracks Tunnel Project in unincorporated St. Louis County, and authorizing the district to appropriate additional funds to a contract with SAK Construction. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson? Thank you, Mr. Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Item 40 is the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15829, making a supplemental appropriation of $1.6 million from the sanitary replacement fund to be used for sanitary sewer construction in the Watkins Creek Pump Station Force Main Replacement Project in the city of St. Louis, and authorizing the district to appropriate additional funds to a contract with Kolb Grading. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Abstain.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
All right, that passes introduction. Item 41 is the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15830, making an appropriation of $250,000 from the district stormwater fund to be used for storm sewer construction in the Orchard and Windsor Lane Storm Sewer Project in the city of Kirkwood, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Tailor Made Construction. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Item 42, the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15831, authorizing the district to enter into an agreement with Rankin Technical College for cost sharing for green infrastructure construction in the CSO volume reduction green infrastructure Rankin and West Bell project in the city of St. Louis. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Item 43, the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15832, authorizing the district to enter into an agreement with Washington University for cost sharing for green infrastructure construction in the CSO volume reduction green infrastructure Washington University softball field project in the city of Clayton. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Watson? Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Item 44, the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15833, making a supplemental appropriation of $5 million from the general fund to be used for construction of green infrastructure in the CSO volume reduction green infrastructure project in the city of St. Louis and St. Louis County. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Item 45, the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15834, making a supplemental appropriation of $3 million from the general fund to be used for construction of green infrastructure in the CSO volume reduction green infrastructure River to Pear project in the city of St. Louis and St. Louis County. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
So moved. Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Item 46, the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15835, making a supplemental appropriation of $200,000 from the Stormwater Regulatory Fund to be used for small grant administration agreement in the Stormwater Quality Green Infrastructure Small Grant Rainscaping Program in the city of St. Louis and St. Louis County, and authorizing the district to amend an interagency agreement with Missouri Botanical Gardens. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
All right, items 47 through 51 are all appropriating for municipal storm expenditures from various OMCI funds and authorizing intergovernmental agreements. So if there's no objection, I'd like to read those items, and then we'll take one vote on the group. Any objections? Hearing none, item 47 is the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15836, making a supplemental appropriation of $1,049,544 from the Operation Maintenance, Construction, and Improvement, or OMCI Fund of Coldwater Creek for cost sharing in the municipal stormwater expenditures in the Coldwater Creek OMCI reimbursement program in St. Louis County, and authorizing the district to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with municipalities where revenue is collected by the Coldwater Creek OMCI. Item 48 is the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15837, making a supplemental appropriation of $1,563,211 from the OMCI Fund of Deer Creek for cost sharing for municipal stormwater expenditures in the Deer Creek OMCI reimbursements program, also in St. Louis County, and authorizing the district to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the municipalities where revenue is collected by the Deer Creek OMCI. Item 49 is the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15838, making a supplemental appropriation of $124,292 from the OMCI fund of the Seminary Branch of River to Pear for cost share for municipal stormwater expenditures in the Seminary OMCI reimbursements program in St. Louis County, authorizing the district to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with municipalities that collect revenue from the Seminary Branch of the River to Pear OMCI. And 50 is the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15839, making a supplemental appropriation of $148,421 from the OMCI fund of Sugar Creek for cost share for municipal stormwater expenditures in the Sugar Creek OMCI reimbursements program in St. Louis County, also authorizing the district to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with municipalities where revenue is collected by the Sugar Creek OMCI. And item 51 is the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15840, making a supplemental appropriation of $478,012 from the OMCI fund of University City. The cost share for municipal stormwater expenditures in the University City OMCI reimbursements program in St. Louis County. Excuse me. And authorizing the district to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with municipalities that collect revenue in the University City OMCI. So for items 47 through 51, is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson.
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Ms. Fair.
Yes.
Mr. Evans.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Give me 1 sec. Item 52 is the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15841, making a supplemental appropriation of $150,000 from the general fund to be used for rainfall data gathering and analysis in the radar rainfall data project district-wide, and authorizing the district to amend a contract with View and Associates. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Item 53 is the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15842, making a supplemental appropriation of $1.5 million from the general fund to be used for planning, design, and engineering during construction phase services in the wet weather optimization study project district-wide, and authorizing the district to amend a contract with Jacobs Engineering. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Item 54 is the introduction and adoption of proposed ordinance number 15843, authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Rimini Street, whereby Rimini Street will provide Oracle EBX 12.1.3 support services for the district. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
So moved. Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Do I hear an objection to the suspension of the rule? Hearing none, is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Item 55, the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15844, authorizing the district to enter into a contract with UHY Advisors, Mid-Atlantic, for a management audit of the district. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
All right, that'll take us to resolutions. The first one is item 56, the adoption of resolution 3715 to exercise option year 2 of the contract previously authorized by ordinance 15326, adopted December 12, 2019. That authorized the district to enter into a contract with Kaina Iman to provide lobbying services with the Missouri legislature for the district. Is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Item 57 is the adoption of resolution 3716 to exercise option year 1 of a contract previously authorized by ordinance 15598, adopted January 14, 2021, that authorized the district to enter into a contract with BJC Corporate Health Services to provide medical services for district staff, which include workers' compensation medical services, drug testing, pre-employment evaluations, and other medical services. Is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
All right, the last item is item 58. So before I read it, I'm just going to explain that we're going to do this one a little differently than what we've done in the past. So as you know, historically, it's required at least 2 affirmative votes from city trustees and 2 affirmative votes from county trustees in order to adopt an ordinance or a resolution. The charter amendment earlier this year allowed for an exception when at least 5 board members are present with unanimous consent of all board members also that are present, and the full vote of any 4 board members shall be sufficient for passage. So since we only have 5 trustees and 1 trustee, Trustee Evans, plans to abstain to avoid the appearance of a conflict of interest, I'm going to read the resolution and then ask if there are any objections to the suspension of Board Rule 2, which is the board rule that requires the 2 and 2 vote. If there are no objections to the suspension of the rule, then I will ask for a motion for adopt and I'll call for a vote. Okay? Item 58 is the adoption of Resolution 3717 to exercise option year 2 of a contract previously authorized by Ordinance 15152, adopted July 11, 2019, that authorized the district to enter into a contract with Missouri Works Initiative Building Union and Diversity, or the BUD program, to provide assistance for low-income, unemployed, and underemployed individuals within the MSD service area to obtain training and development for sewer construction occupations. So, given that at least 5 trustees are present and at least 1 trustee has indicated a desire to abstain from the vote on this item, are there any objections to the suspension of Board Rule 2? Hearing no objections, is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Given the motion and second, Mr. Watson.
Yes.
Mr. Nikozison.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Ms. Fair.
Yes.
Mr. Evans.
Abstain.
And that motion does pass. And Mr. Chair, looks like there's no further business for this evening.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, thank you.